to make sure they got plenty of honey. If not, I might start feeding them a little. They have been bringing in a lot of pollen. The last week or so, they're still bringing in some pollen. It's very dry here. We're having a dearth. It hasn't rained much in the last few weeks. So I just want to see if there's anything I need to do for them before winter gets here. So what I'm going to do is go through the hive here a little bit. Get the honey stores, of course, are the first several bars here till I get down to the brood section. So what I'll do is here I'll kind of stop and go through this and get down to where the brood are at, and we'll take a look at that, and I'll count up how many bars of honey we got, and we'll just take a quick look in the old beehive here at the beginning of October. Okay, I'm back here and I've made it down to about the brood section here. There's a good 2, 4, 6, 8 solid bars of honey, and then I'm going into the brood area here, and what they're doing, I've noticed, is there's still some baby bees in this hive that haven't hatched. I see a few larvae in there, but as the bees are hatching, what they're doing is they're starting to backfill the empty brood with nectar. So by the time I get down through all this brood, I have a feeling there will be quite a bit more honey that has been saved. I don't see a lot. They still got a nice capping of honey up here. Quite a bit of brood here in the center. Stay out of the sun there so you can see it. So they're still hatching a few babies out. These will be your winter bees. From what I read on that, your winter bees might be a little bit different in shape and size. Their abdomen may be a little bit bigger. That way they can hold more honey when they go eat honey and then come back and try to work with the hive to keep it warm. So here again we have some more brood that's being laid. There's still some larvae in there, so they are still making a few more bees for the over the winter. I would like to see the queen. But I don't yet. I don't know if you can see inside there and see maybe a couple of the larvae. This side here maybe has a little bit better. We're not in some really good sunlight, but if you can look inside here, you might see a few of the little larvae. Here's another brood section, and on this one now, you might be able to see some pollen on some of these bees. Here's some pollen on these little worker bees here. Uh-oh, there's one maybe doing a waggle dance. Yeah, he is. See him? That's what you call the waggle dance. He's telling other bees where they need to go find some pollen. And that one there, that bee, you can see his legs are full with pollen sacs. So that's kind of neat. There is the waggle dance again. Let's watch him a minute. Maybe he'll do some more. He ain't got much walking room, does he? Anyway, that's kind of interesting. I'd say right now trying to find that pollen is pretty tough. So seeing that bee communicate with the others is kind of a neat thing. Here's the other side. Again, we have this one here has quite a bit of pollen on his legs. And you can see inside here where we do have some pollen going in the comb. I hope you can see that. For being this time of year, whenever you have a lot of robin maybe going on, the bees can get a little bit more defensive. And honestly, they're not really doing too bad. We opened up the other hive. I had our friend over, Christina. She was the one who got me really started in this, and we opened up the beehive and did the same thing that I'm doing here. It was her first time actually being able to work on a beehive, had a bee suit on her, and I think she enjoyed what we was doing and learning a little bit about the bees, and she was a big help as we went through the hive. Here once again is you can see that the brood is gone, and they're backfilling all of that with nectar. So I really feel like with the combs of honey we have, and if they get this here nectar all filled and turned into honey in the next few weeks, I don't believe I'm going to have to feed any sugar water to these bees. I think they're making enough on their own. You can see several of them here have pollen on their legs. And what I'll probably do, I do have some leftover pollen that I fed early in the spring. So I may actually put a little feeder up I have and let them eat as much of it as they want. If nothing else, they can fill a little bit of it up for their brood that they start in the spring. Once again, oh, here's a lot of pollen on these. A lot of bees with bringing in pollen. I really don't see where they're putting it. I can see some in there where it's shiny, and you might see the shininess from the sun. They are actually got pollen in there. I guess that's how they're making their, I think it's bee bread, or they call that. This one here has quite a bit more pollen in it. I think you can actually see that one a little bit better. Get up there. Yeah, there's some, you can see it. So even though it's the time of year that it is, they are finding a few things out there. I think goldenrod might be happening right now. You really don't see a lot of flowers, and I'm not for sure what all they would even want to get this time of year. There again, they are filling some pollen up in the first couple of combs. Oops, wrong way. Very few drones. Last time I was in here, probably, or the time before last, they still had quite a few drones, and even some in the brood. But this is really one of the first combs I've seen several. There's probably 5 or 10 drones right here. Like I said, there's a drone trying to eat, it looks like. It's the time of year when they kick the drones out. They don't want them to waste the honey on them. So most of the drones, if not all of them, will be kicked out, and they're on their own, and they'll die here before fall ends. And the bees, again, they're trying to reduce in size a little bit and get ready for winter. It's looking pretty good. Well pleased the way this hive has turned out this year. Both of my hives are they're doing good. Biggest concern I have, I think the hive beetles are really more under control. The varroa, I will still pay attention to that. I don't think I have an epidemic problem yet. When I did the sugar shake, it was at 2%. Did kill a few here. I'm just going to be very watchful at the beginning of the year. Here's another little thing I want to show you real quick. I noticed that some of these hives have done on some of these combs. If you'll look right here, can you see that? Here we go. What they're actually doing is making holes up at the top, and that way they can go through the combs easier instead of having to walk around the sides, I guess. I've noticed a few of these combs, they have done that. This one here in particular has 4 holes, 5, where they can actually walk through the comb into the next one. And they may do that on these first few combs just so it's easier to get in and out quicker. Again, this one just has honey, backfilling it with the nectar at the moment. So that's another little neat thing that the bees are doing. I can't complain. It's a beautiful day here. Today it did get up to 80, but like I say, fall is here, I believe, finally.